have found us. More podcast, where we want you to know God more deeply, find lasting freedom, discover your destiny and make an eternal difference. Now.
So I sit here today and I noticed that we all are, well, two of us are sporting our favorite things in life. PG's wearing his Mountain Dew t-shirt, and you wore Mountain Dew socks yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I'm wearing my my newly acquired Detroit Lions jersey with Goff on the back.
go.
Yeah. I try to wear it as much as I can, and my wife's like, "You have other clothes." I'm like, "Yeah, I do, but I don't want to wear them." Well, welcome to this week's podcast. Thank you again for stopping back and taking a listen. You know, it's just awesome to have you guys keep coming back. It makes me feel like, we're making an impact in the world, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit every time, doing a little short podcast gets out there and makes a difference.
We're pretty, if we have people listening from India, that's about as far away as you can get. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
It should be something that gets us a little excited because, I'd never thought anybody in another country would ever listen to anything I ever did. And here we are with India and everything else. I don't know. It's just kind of cool.
That's pretty awesome.
It's amazing how the internet can figure that stuff out, but it's there. Well, if you're wondering why you take the time each week to listen, don't ask yourself that question anymore, because really what you're doing is you're learning how to be a better human by listening to more podcasts.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Because more stands for maximizing opportunities for right now and eternity. So, yeah, just stop asking why you listen. Because that's like a black hole question. You're never going to figure that one out. But just don't forget to tell other people about it.
That's right.
Well, today's podcast is sponsored by Bob's Exotic Meats. Nothing beats wonderful meats. I don't know. Am I right?
Oh, for sure.
It's going to be good. How do you like the sound of alligator, antelope, buffalo, elk, kangaroo, ostrich, pheasant, and wild boar? Normally things you'd find in the zoo. Now, because of Bob's Assassins of Legal Gaming, you can actually taste the excitement only previously seen behind a 6-foot fence. Don't waste time wondering what exotic meats taste like when you watch the Discovery Channel. Order your safari pack today. Bob's Exotic Meats on Amazon.
So I have to ask you guys, what's the most exotic meat that you've ever had?
That'd be alligator. That's about the
Okay.
extent of
That's
my
it?
life. Yeah, alligator. Yeah.
I had alligator this last winter down in Florida. It
Yeah.
tastes great.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's
like
wonderful.
chicken. Just bread that
Yeah.
thing and fry it up.
That's
Absolutely.
what you do. Little
You'd
fried
put
little.
a shoe in
So
that
next time you guys are traveling and you see one of those gas stations that has the jerky,
Yeah.
it's a giant jerky
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
stop in there, because you can get all of the things you just listed in jerky form.
Yeah.
And we stopped by bought a whole bunch for Isaac Meyer
Yeah.
one time, and we brought him back, and then at small group, the entertainment was watching him try all these exotic meats.
Did he do it?
He did. Loved it. It was a lot of fun. He was the center of the attention for the evening.
I would try them. I'm game for that.
Listen, if you jerkify it,
Yeah.
right, if you make it into jerky, it can't be bad.
It can't be that bad.
That's
right.
right.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, you're removing all the
So
stuff that.
okay,
makes
so
it
what
gross.
would be for fun? What would be the meat that you would be most leery of trying?
That would be what Amy and them did when they went to Peru, which was the guinea pig.
Guinea pig.
Guinea
Yeah.
pig.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I couldn't do that.
Some sort of like bottom feeder, garbagey kind of consumer.
Like
what is
like
that?
lobster?
Yeah, well,
No,
that's true. I would
That's really
just
good, though.
dominate some lobster.
Put the butter on there.
I don't know. That's like rodent, like rat.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay,
interested
okay.
in.
I'm not into rat or any of
No,
that stuff.
Like gerbils are definitely in that category.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So I've
about
had
you?
silkworm bugs. I've had
What?
that.
Oh,
yeah,
my
in
gosh.
South Korea. They weren't bad.
It's like, don't they like it, like with worms, you put them in breading, right? And they eat it and it pushes out all the stuff. They eat the bread and it pushes out all the sand
I don't
or
know.
whatever.
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
I've heard that before.
These were like a larvae, but they had little antennae on them too. So
You never ask.
there was a
You don't
crunch
ask.
Yeah,
involved,
the
and they were
crunch
just
part.
kind of a wet, kind of a gravy-ish.
No,
kinda,
no.
But you can still see it was
Wet-
a bug for
wet
sure.
gravy.
Yeah, there
No,
you go. Just kind
I
of a
just
wet
could
gravy.
not.
How about? Would you ever try sloth?
Yeah.
Sloth.
You would eat sloth?
No,
Yeah.
not me.
That's a big enough animal. I feel
Okay,
like once
okay. The smaller it is,
Yeah, the smaller it is, if it's only hanging out on the ground, you know what it's eating, right? It's
Okay.
not, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like some there's in my head, I don't
Yeah.
know if this makes any sense logically really,
I
but
think
in
it-
my head, if it's on the ground, it's hanging out with poop and all that stuff.
I don't. Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I think there's some lines you have to draw there. at
I'm
some
an
point.
adventurous eater, but
I'm
I just
not.
don't. Yeah, well,
That's why when I go on mission trips, I'm like, whoa. I'm trying to find the most normal thing I
Yeah.
can possibly find. That's what I stick with.
Pastor Gary, when we were in Turkey, I've never seen this man be more excited to see a potato chip. We had all the kebabs, and turkey's good. Like it's
Yeah.
not like really exotic. It's like it's lamb
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it's
whatever.
Probably goat. And,
Yeah,
Pretty normal stuff, yeah.
So, but we get on this. It's like a carnival fair looking thing overlooking the city.
Yeah.
And these guys had the thing you get at the fair where you spin a potato. And it makes it all crinkly, you
Okay,
know, and like
yeah.
long and thin, and they deep fry it. And oh boy,
Yeah, it was good.
we were gonna come back and saying we're doing this for
Yeah, we're gonna make-
Harvest
yeah.
Fest, and
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're gonna start a
the
business.
snack shack for
The Ted
Pastor
and Alex
Alex.
chip business.
Have you guys ever seen in a third world country where they take a piece of rice and they drop it in? It looks like the barrel of a gun that's super hot, and then it pops it.
Really?
And it pops out the end. It sounds like a little 22 or 410 going off.
I've not
Really?
seen
Boom!
that.
And
I've
then
never-
There's a little puffed rice at the end.
Really?
Yeah, it's
That's
really cool. I
cool.
saw it.
I've never seen that before.
In Korea, again on that trip.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
These guys just sitting there all day, just dropping rice in and popping it out, and then you get a little bag of these popped rice pieces.
Does it
And-
look like popcorn?
kind of? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, those Asian countries, that's where you got to be careful.
Ooh, brother.
Because they eat like everything, like scorpions.
Yeah, no, that's the part where I'm not interested.
Well, we had a Chinese exchange-
eel,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
We had a Chinese exchange student a couple years ago that was in my class, and he kept talking about these beluga eggs, but they call them something else in China. But it's basically a duck egg where the duck is in the egg.
Yeah,
Oh,
And
yeah,
then they
yeah,
soak it in soy
Oh,
sauce
can't do it.
and some other thing, and then they
You're
eat it.
eating bones. And
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what they
You
did.
Can't do it.
So I found it on Amazon, and I bought them a 4-pack because they apparently are like Twinkies. They can have shelf life forever. So they sent it over, and I gave it to him, and man, he was in heaven. And then the other kids in the class tried it, and I had a lot of puking going on.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I said, "You guys are old enough to make the decision if you want to do this."
Sure.
I'm not doing it
No way.
because as soon as I saw that thing, I was like, "Oh no!" It was black, and he bit
Isn't
into
there
it.
like
and
there's
a duck in
fur,
there.
like wing?
There's feathers and everything in there, yeah, and they eat the whole
Uh-uh.
thing. He loved it, man. I'm just
No,
like,
sir.
dude, that's why I'm not going to visit your country.
Yeah.
Because that would be on the menu. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
the
me.
like the ones where the videos you see online that are like the bowl of like little mini minnow squids
No.
moving as they put it in their mouth. I'm not into it.
Yeah, well, the new one. My son was in Japan for a while, and he said that they have a fish that has like teeth that look like humans. And I can't remember
seen
what the
it,
name
yeah.
of the fish
I've
is.
seen that one too, yeah.
And that's a delicacy. I mean, that's like if you get that fish, it's expensive, but it's just nasty. The thing looks like it's smiling at you.
Yeah,
It looks
it
like a
does.
person looking.
Yeah.
And he's like, people love that stuff, and I'm like, it's got teeth like a human.
What about isn't there the blow? Now you got us going here, PG. The blowfish sushi.
Oh yeah, the one that can kill you.
It can kill,
Yeah.
You have to like write off
Yeah.
on like
Yep.
eating it, and you have to be a chef for so
Yep.
long to cut it. And
No.
The
it's
other
about
one is
the way
they
you
swallow.
cut it.
They swallow a live octopus.
No.
Yeah, and it can
Yuck.
if they don't get it all
Right.
down in one this big thing, it swells up and you choke to death.
What?
Yep.
That is
That's
just,
for real.
why would you do that to yourself? I want my food to be dead when I eat it, and it's not going to fight
Well,
back.
you know,
when it
we're
goes
going
in.
to like Mickey D's, and how many chemicals?
Yeah, right. It's killing you anyways,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just slowly.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'll take
it's
a slow death.
It's
That's
embalming you a little bit at a time.
the balloon in my throat.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So no, if we go on a mission trip, I'm not doing it. Amy will try anything once, and I'm not.
I've never laughed harder, Alex, hanging out with you on that mission trip, man.
I'm a little bit of a diva. You know, my wife always says, "Tell me you're here for Jesus." You know, and I'm like, I need fans
It's the
and air
most fun-
conditioning.
Yeah, you will need to find air conditioning. Find Pastor Alex. He will be.
I
there.
find it.
Yep.
I find fans in countries where they say
Bathrooms.
they don't make fans anymore.
That's right,
Yeah.
bathrooms.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't mess around. I've got an eye for that kind of stuff, and so that's why I don't get invited to many mission trips with her. So. Okay, so, well, you've heard their voices across the table here, and they're all here. We have the full Gap crew here today. But he was asked once if he ever gets bored with woodworking. He responded, "I just nail it every time." Pastor Gary.
Hey, all right.
And to the left of me here, he's been trying to train his dog to understand sarcasm. So far, the dog sits there totally unimpressed. I guess the lesson's sinking in. Pastor Ted, over to the left there.
All right, across the table for me, the man with all the talent running all the buttons and the knobs, the only man to ever try to count to infinity twice, Pastor Alex.
I may have got there a couple times. I don't know. I'm not sure. Well, we're going to be right back with 5 trending things that happened this week that you need to know that happened to show up on somebody's news somewhere. And we'll be right back.
We have taken over the airwaves, and now we need your help to decide what to do next. The easy part was to get this channel. Seriously, someone call in and help. We're not even sure what buttons to push. More podcast with the Gap Crew.
All right, 5 things that have happened in the news at Petoskey News Review, all these places around that, I don't know, there's like a lot of different little newspapers. I get a newspaper that's sent to me. It's called The Independent from Indian River.
All right.
Oh, nice.
I didn't even know.
Is it good?
It's a
No.
paper.
It's not good.
It's a paper.
It's like
actually
Cheryl. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
it's in your
Cheryl
mailbox.
planted her
Oh,
paninis
I've
or
seen
whatever it
those
is.
kind of-
Yeah,
That's the news you need.
yeah,
these days,
yeah.
man.
So it's
My first trip to ever go out west, we stopped in Iowa at some relative's house, and they had the Iowa Seymour newspaper, and it was just like that. Ted and Alex had
Yeah.
lunch today
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
at McDonald's. I was like, what? It was
And he
a whole newspaper of that.
had tomato soup. Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of paper
It
again.
was the face precursor to Facebook, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's like a little gossipy and
and then the locals love it. You know,
Right.
It's like I'm in the paper.
sure.
They saw me playing. Yeah, it's really
That's
goofy.
awesome.
Well, in our newspapers, one of the things that showed up is International Left-Handers Day, August 13th of last week. Do we have any left-handers? You guys aren't left-handers, are you? No. Do you have anybody left-handed in your family?
Yeah, both Eloise and Theo are.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, my oldest is left-handed too.
Yeah.
And I should have called him up and said, "Hey, buddy, happy Left-Handers Day. Good for you."
You missed it.
You left. I did miss it. But this is the day where they celebrate lefties. You know, finally get their chance to shine and smudge everything they write. You know, because they're not very good at writing. I thought my handwriting was bad until I saw a left-hander. Here's another one. National Relaxation Day was August 15th. Did you guys know that? I missed that one
I
for some reason.
celebrated, but I didn't.
I well,
didn't
yeah.
know it was the day.
That's an ongoing celebration in my home.
Yeah.
I try to celebrate it often. But yeah, I didn't know there's a national day for it. Maybe I just have the wrong calendar because maybe I need to get one of those calendars that have more of the holidays on it.
Sure.
Yeah,
So
that's
I can
what
keep
you
up
need.
on them ready to go.
Well, you get the Google Calendar on your phone, you know?
Yeah.
That thing's like the most politicized woke calendar in the
No.
world. Like, I didn't know we're celebrating these things here, Google.
That's interesting. Well, I have one calendar that has some weird holidays on it, like a lot of holidays from Canada, and I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't live in Canada. I don't.
Right.
Yeah. But this is a day that's dedicated to doing absolutely nothing. But let's be real. Isn't that what weekends are for already? Yes, of course. But like I said, we celebrate it all the time. Here's another one that hit the paper: the meteor shower that kept people awake. I didn't see this one, but apparently a lot of people did in the area.
I did.
You did? You saw it?
We attempted.
Yeah.
We went out late.
Did you see them?
We didn't see very many meteors, but the Northern Lights were on display. We got the pink and the red ones. and so
Did
that
you
was
really?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's cool.
First time I can remember seeing those colors.
Great.
Yeah. I go to bed.
I'm not in that
I'm
stage of life. Yeah, I'm usually in bed too.
I'm usually laying in bed and then I read about it on one of the.
I'll see your great
Facebook or
4K
something.
pictures.
I know. How do
Alex
people get those
combines
pictures?
the relaxation day with these.
Yeah.
Stay
Put my
early.
recliner
That's right, yeah.
outside on the porch.
Well, how did they get those great pictures? Like Jessica McFall, she takes amazing
our cameras
pictures.
are amazing.
Yeah.
Our cameras on our phones.
And
are
she said it's
pretty
just her
great.
cell phone. She doesn't have
Right.
anything else.
Yeah.
I'm like,
The thing shoots in 4K. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you don't even
Wow.
watch TV in 4K.
Right.
she's got like a camera with like 8 lenses on it.
Sure.
I mean, it's like one
Yeah,
of those.
you can add like little add-on.
Yeah, it's just like all these little lenses in the back. Yeah. Well, apparently the Perseids meteor shower peaked this week, leading to countless groggy stargazers who are now experts in identifying constellations, which includes Patrick Gary and Lee Skate, and dark circles under their eyes because they've been out there watching the whole thing go. Here's another one. Back to school shopping madness has started last week. I ran into it at Walmart. You better watch what you're doing because they will run you over with their carts. It's a week where parents, realize that their kids need 48 glue sticks and 37 notebooks that they'll never use.
Right. I remember when there was a small decade in Harbor Light Christian School's history where we were super legalists. You couldn't wear certain clothing, couldn't have any outside pockets on your pants,
Whoa,
couldn't
wow.
have exterior stitching, no joke.
Really?
And
That's
we
a-
attempted to get some back-to-school clothes for our kids.
Yeah.
And we decided we're just going to get a sewing machine and make our own.
No
Yeah.
way.
It was awful.
You just went Amish.
You couldn't have
Yeah.
exterior stitching.
No exterior stitching on your pants.
That
So
is-
it's like a dress pant was the whole.
That was
okay.
that's what it was.
That is awesome.
because the devil wears jeans.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you guys knew that.
Right.
Yeah.
He wears Prada and he wears jeans. Yeah.
Whoa.
Listen, when I was going to school here,
Yeah.
you had to dress up like you're
Yep.
going to an interview every day. I mean, you
Yep.
had to wear,
Wow.
yeah. And yeah, those are the days. Those are the days.
Yeah.
Now kids, you know,
Now kids complain about the dress code, and I just kind of slap them around a little bit.
I'm like, really?
You got nothing to say.
you had to wear a noose around your neck every day.
Well, there's a balance, right? And
Yeah.
I think we've struck it well here.
Yes.
Boy, oh boy.
Well, I was
That's-
liberated by Pastor Gary in this case because I never owned a pair of jeans. And so, what was my junior year or
What?
something?
I think it was your senior year.
Senior year.
Senior year, he got a pair of jeans,
Yeah.
and he was
you
living in
wear
our
it to school?
basement.
They talked
and-
me into it.
Yeah, and then he would iron them, so
Yeah.
you knew they were special.
Yeah. They had the nice little crease on the front.
Have you
Iron-
ever ironed a pair
I
of
don't
jeans?
own an iron.
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know,
Oh man,
I was
That's
liberated.
Wild. Huh.
and I've never. Well,
And it wasn't just that he had jeans for the first time,
Yeah.
and that he was ironing them. He invited us down to watch him iron
Wow.
his jeans. That was how
Yeah.
important this thing
Okay.
was. This was special.
this is the next level, and yeah, I don't even know if I could ever fit those again.
Was this like long haired?
No.
Couldn't have long.
I had to. Well, no, I did. I had to cut my hair for senior graduation. Because what I went from was in the summer I had kind of like what Carson has, the longer, short,
Yep.
you know, kind of. And then for school, I kind of shaved the sides and had a comb over, kind of
Yeah.
like the
Yep.
flock of
It was
seagulls.
about
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
about getting
Yeah.
up,
Yeah.
not down.
Yeah,
it was
it's
about
getting
going
up. And so then they're like, you know what, you need to calm that down a little bit, you know.
Really?
So then I did.
Huh.
Yeah. So I did.
because you couldn't your hair couldn't touch your ear.
Yeah.
on the
And
top.
it couldn't be in your
Okay.
collar if you're a guy.
Right.
Yeah.
That should be like a spirit day at the school.
Right.
Is like dress up like the dress code from 1975.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's going to take you 6 months to recover.
Yeah, right.
You won't find the clothes and maybe
you
some
destroy the
therapy will be
ozone
needed
layer.
at the end. Yeah.
Well, it was a fire hazard. I think that's why we moved away from it. Because if you start wearing your hair like that, especially
Yeah,
the girls
man.
putting their
Oh, yeah.
bangs up so high, it was a fire hazard. I
You
mean,
need
you
a
get
lot
near
of product to keep it up in the air like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Aquanet, you can't even find Aquanet anymore, can you?
I don't know. I know in Hawaii it's illegal to use an aerosol can of any kind.
Really?
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, super.
Yeah, yeah.
Those are the days, man. I mean, you throw one of those things in a fire barrel, and I mean, it was just.
We shot one with a gun. My son
Sure.
thought we just struck gold. It was just.
It's
We had to
awesome.
shoot everything in
Let's
our
do
houses.
this.
I know.
Mom doesn't need this raid. Boom.
What's that stuff you can buy from Tractor Supply? Is it
Tannerite.
Tannerite, yes. We had a camp one year in the Salvation Army where we buried a bunch out in the field, and then we had guys try to hit it. You know, like we had a little flag, you try to hit it. Oh my gosh! When you would hit it,
Yeah.
the ground would just fly.
We
in the
did
air.
it for my son's bachelor party, and
Oh.
we shot off 2-pounders, and the neighbors were yelling out their windows. You just rattled all the windows in our house. And then there was a person I know that was wearing their scanner.
Yeah.
And somebody called it in.
Really?
They're like, "Oh, we know who that is. It's okay."
I love that stuff. Okay, here's the last one. The great mid-August barbecue debate. You know, should we barbecue or should we kind of say, hey, it's time to put it up, you know, because we're getting colder. I don't know. 63 degrees for the last couple of days has been kind of cold for me.
Oh no, it's been
It's
glorious.
Really?
So
I'm
nice.
not.
Yeah.
I'm all in it.
Really?
I don't remember an August like this.
Yeah.
It's always
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
hot.
That's global warming. You're
It's,
you're
well,
Well, that's
basically in
what
global warming. Yeah.
remember we were warned this winter when we didn't have one. It's
Yeah.
like this summer's been perfect.
Yeah.
It's
been
like
a little
75.
toasty a couple of
Really?
times.
Yeah, it's a couple days.
But, but I'm a definitely 70s and maybe
Yes.
low 80s.
Me too.
Now you're pushing
no, I'm
it. But
I'm right with you. I just I don't remember. I have a little wall or a window air conditioner. I ran it for a week. I didn't need it. You know?
Wow.
See, apparently
Maybe
you
it's
guys
just
are not in my
down by
world
the
because
water,
my
but-
wife still runs the air conditioning.
Oh, ours
It's
is running.
63 degrees.
Ours
and
is
I'm
running.
Is
I'm
it?
like, It is an icebox in here, literally. I can hang meat in my room right now, and I'm like, she's like, oh, just it's fine. This is how you should sleep. You know, I'm like, you've heard of what is it, hypothermia? Yeah, you go to bed and you don't wake up.
Yep.
Because you're you're frozen in your bed.
Well, it is that weird transition, right? So you we have football starts, and that's like a whole feeling thing of like the fall's here.
It's got to be here.
The first couple weekends can be 80 degrees still, you know.
Yeah, and the Lions don't play so well in the heat, so we'll see what happens. Well, that's it for us. We'll try to find some more next week. You know, it's interesting how these little headlines pop up and nobody seems to talk about it. I mean, why don't we talk about this stuff in the news?
That's right.
Instead of what was happening to DNC. I mean, good grief. That's a whole other subject. I don't even want to get into it. All right, we'll be right back after this ID break.
Welcome to More Podcast, where the wisdom is deep, the jokes are weird, and the pastors are even weirder. Did you know cows have best friends? Just like us, they need good company, and we're here to be yours. And did you know bananas are berries, but strawberries aren't? Just like our faith, sometimes things aren't what they seem. We promise you'll learn something new and laugh till you snort. It's all about maximizing your opportunities for right now and eternity. Tune in to More Podcast, where wisdom gets wacky and you always leave happier.
This is Babylon Bee News. I'm Sonny Dale reporting for More Podcast. Poplar Bluff, Montana. After reaching the end of another taxing Sunday, pouring himself out to minister to his parishioners, a local pastor who gets paid $17,000 a year was shocked to hear from a disgruntled congregant that he's just in it for the money. Reverend Mark Lambert, in his 5th year of serving as pastor of Grace Church, was surprised to find out he's in the ministry as a money-making enterprise, despite the fact that he and his family live well below what is considered to be the poverty line. Wow, I'm only in this for the money? I never would have guessed that, Lambert said. Keeping our electricity on at the house was a little touch and go there for a day or two, but we managed to make it work. None of that ever matters to us, honestly. We really just want the people of our church to feel loved and cared for as much as we can while we preach and show them the gospel. When I found out I was only doing this to get rich, I was floored. When asked for comment, the unhappy churchgoer confirmed the report. Yeah, he's just doing this for the money, said Deborah Bartle, who has attended Grace Church faithfully for over 30 years, despite complaining regularly about church leadership. He stands up there with his Bible and preaches his sermons and hugs everyone and always shows up to support people when they need him and whatnot. But I know he just wants a paycheck. We all know preachers rake in money hand over fist. At publishing time, Pastor Lambert had reportedly visited 4 different congregants to pray for them in person while driving his luxurious 1997 Toyota Corolla. Sonny Dale signing off for Babylon Bee News. Exclusively on More Podcast. Back to you, Gap Crew.
Well, while we were, you want to say something?
Nope.
No. I love the 97 Corolla, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is the car of choice for many pastors.
My truck is only 7 years newer than that. So
Yeah.
2004 GMC. Yeah.
And
I always get I always have to watch myself online, right? When it's some, article about a church. It was the last one was like some church in Kalamazoo with trees, right? They got some ordinance that they didn't put trees in or something, and they built this building and they don't have the money for the trees. And all the comments are like, well, if they just paid their taxes, or if they tax the church. I'm like, that is a telltale sign you don't attend a local church.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You think all these people are getting rich, but you just see some televangelist. That's
Well,
what that is.
there are people, I mean, it's you get these lists from like Barna and stuff about the average, wage for a pastor in a mega church, and it's like, wow.
Right, but the mega church represents what percentage of the church?
Not very big.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other statistic. You got to go, hey, look, sure, there are how many politicians in the world, right? We have one president, but you got local folks all over the place who, they're not getting rich off being a county commissioner or something like that.
Geez.
So
it's not even probably worth their time.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. Well, you know,
because
like,
of the one that's the loudest, and you see it all over the internet or whatever, they're gonna go.
they're
Yeah,
like, oh, that's everybody. Yeah.
that ain't it.
I know,
You just
and-
don't go to a local church.
30 years my dad was pastoring. I mean, we've been paid with beaver meat and chicken and eggs and
Beaver meat.
yeah. Somebody called my dad and said that he couldn't. He didn't have enough money he didn't make any money, so he didn't have money for tithe. But he wanted to tithe something, so
Sure.
he brought over a frozen beaver.
Wow.
We never ate it. It
Oh,
just
it's
sat in
good.
our freezer.
Is it
Well, we
good?
didn't know how to make it. We're like, what do we do with a beaver? You know, so it just sat there.
Called
Called A1.
Yeah, right.
A lot of A1.
We did eat a lot of salmon because we were in East Jordan for a while, and so we had some
Oh,
Native
sure.
Americans that were part
Yeah,
of our
man.
church, and they would
Yeah, that's awesome.
bring over a lot of salmon.
It's good for you.
Yeah, we learned how to can
Omega-3s.
that. We learned how to can
Yep.
salmon, which was good.
Yep.
We got some tweets that came in here. It's about the service from last week. Pastor Jeff Myers didn't pull any punches last Sunday. His sermon in Israel was like a wake-up call for all of us. Definitely. I was...
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, did you see how quiet it was through the whole
man.
Oh,
service?
geez. So we ran the Dennis Prager video
Yeah.
to set up the talk, and I think
Yeah.
that just really brought the reality
Yeah.
to the room, and it was very quiet.
It was very quiet. I was like, whoa.
You know, there was a quote, I don't remember where I heard it, but I heard it in last week that Hamas is saying, you know, we are going to kill the Saturday worshipers first, and then we're going to kill the Sunday worshipers next. So that's
Yeah.
Jews first, and then Christians.
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, it was good service. I mean, stuff that he was talking about was just really amazing to hear, and it just really caught my attention.
Yeah.
And I sat through both services, and still I was like, wow,
Yep.
I missed something from the first one. Here's the second one. Pastor Jeff Myers, there's another one, just gave us all master class in standing firm for Israel, feeling both challenged and inspired. Yeah, I think all of us did after that Sunday.
I told him that he did a great job. Obviously, he's a wonderful communicator, but he had the perfect balance between personal
Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
scriptural truth, and blending those two together was an excellent.
Yeah, he
excellent
did.
thing.
I think it was funny. He mentioned his wife said that he can only share like 3 statistics a talk, and he's like, I'm up at 7 right now, and I get busted later. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, but hearing his stories about going to
Yes.
Israel
Yeah.
after October 7th. I mean,
You know, you have a wonderful master communicator when he's describing the road you're riding on. You know, and he's like, it's getting rougher
Yeah.
the closer you get because tanks have been traversing that road.
Yeah.
I was instantly right there
Yeah,
on the
you
road
knew.
with him, so
Yeah,
that
it
was
was great.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, he was really good. The picture that he showed about the girl running away. I mean, you couldn't really see it because we had the small screen, but still, it was just super impactful because the way the shot was, you just see this little black dot, and then the truck that was shooting. I was like, wow, that was just crazy. Okay, well, that's all we got for tweets today. So yeah, it was good service. What are you talking about this week?
Well, this week it's going to be a vision casting week, and we're going to be using
right, yeah.
Habakkuk, which is a part of my trivia question for you today.
Oh, good, yeah. And we're doing one service.
One service, 10 o'clock in the Solid Rock Center.
Solid Rock Center.
Pastor Ted's going to light it up. It's going to be an awesome service.
Be there or
And,
be square.
Yep, it's
right,
kind of like what I'm describing as the Harbor Light family reunion.
Oh, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's all get together and show, because you go to one of the two services and you don't know who goes to the other one, and you find out
That happens all
my
the time.
My next door neighbor goes to my same church.
We went to we took out a young couple that's thinking about getting married, and we were sitting there, and a couple that came in the first service, they're like, Pastor Alex, and I'm like, I looked at them, I didn't know who they were, and I was trying to like figure it out for a minute, and it took me a second. And so I was like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" And I'm like, but they're from a different service that I normally talk to everybody. And I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." So yeah, it'd be great to get people together that have not seen each other in a while.
And of course, the three of us were at the annual church awareness meeting last night, which I want to say thank you guys both for being there.
Yeah.
But to find out that we've grown over 100 people per service.
Yeah, that's wild, huh?
Or I mean, per Sunday on average, just since last year. So yeah,
So it's
things
good.
Continue to grow.
That's
Moving in
awesome.
the right direction.
Yep.
It's always a good meeting when you don't get called out and say, "So why do you spend money here?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good. We didn't have any of those questions last night. So I was really happy to be sitting there. It was so funny because the whole staff sat in staff row there.
Right.
Yeah, like we were all busted, and Heidi Hewitt comes in. She's like, "Are you guys in trouble?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're in timeout back here. We can't really move around, so don't talk to us. We don't get in trouble." Let's take an ID break. We'll be right back.
More Podcast, where we help you know God more deeply, find lasting freedom, discover your destiny, and make an eternal difference. We also help you discover your next dad joke, hear sometimes unfactual news, and then get serious about what matters most to your faith.
There's just something about Batman.
That was Batman. I was
Yeah.
going to say that's Pastor Alex with a deep voice. Or that's Batman.
It's just something about Batman that makes our motto sound good,
Right.
You know. Well, I don't know. Let's see. I think we got Rapture Ready news coming up here, right? Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Get Rapture Ready with your favorite host today, Pastor Gary and Pastor Alex Norton, as they come to you with information that you need to make it through the times coming ahead and more. That song makes me think of there's a new Austin Powers movie coming out.
Oh, really?
Number 4. Yeah.
I just heard that on the Dan Patrick show that Happy Gilmore 2 is coming.
Really?
Yeah.
What are they going to do without Bob Barker being in it? You know, he's not.
The Kelsey brothers are going to be in it.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, maybe that'd be good. I don't know.
It's going to be fun.
It was just always fun to see Bob Barker punch him in the face.
Yeah.
What, you never saw it?
No.
Oh my gosh, they were playing golf and Bob Barker gets in a fight
They
with
get
him.
in a fight,
yeah,
it's
and it was hilarious.
it's pretty funny.
Watching that old man. Okay, so Rapture Ready News. One of the things that hit the headline is this Chicago Cardinal actually was called to give the invocation at the DNC conference or convention in Chicago. And if you know anything about the convention right now, it is just like one advertisement after another for abortion, transgender lifestyle, gay rights, all that stuff. They have for their mascot for the weekend, they have an IUD blowing up
goodness.
like 12 feet tall. That as you walk into the convention, that is what you see first. And then last night, they dyed the Chicago River red to represent they're excited about having the right to abort children.
Oh my goodness.
And so that was another thing that happened. And then
Blood in the Nile.
yeah, really,
right.
that's what it is. And then the other thing was
They didn't have one person on the PR team that was like, "Hey, wait a second,
this is going too far.
this is
Yeah.
yikes."
Well, and then they also have a RV that pulled up from Planned Parenthood that gives free abortions of vasectomies on demand.
Jeez.
I'm like, wow. I mean, let's talk about the other stuff. Like, let's talk about the economy and all these things that are more. No. And then it's basically boarded off. There's no business downtown that's open right now because they're worried about all of the people that are down there protesting, destroying their business. So they're not making any money for the week. So it's just a lot of stuff going on. But this is just the icing on the cake for this one. Because if you know anything about the Catholic faith, they're very much against abortion, any of that stuff. And yet, the Cardinal for Chicago, Cardinal Blaise Kupik, delivered an invocation at the Democratic National Convention. And a lot of people were hoping that he would be the voice of reason, to say something to help people realize that this is not where we need to go. But instead, he took the other route and basically never said anything about abortion and kind of basically gave support to the DNC. Even though the Catholic teachings are totally opposed to that. So a lot of Catholics were really upset yesterday. Kupik's prayer focused on unity and peace, which, I mean, that's good. But he didn't address anything about the Democratic Party's position on these policies. Criticism from the Catholic leaders, other priests, and other bishops and people in the diocese there actually challenged and were really upset at the fact that he didn't take the opportunity. But again, this event is just continually showing the tension that we're having in our culture about this subject. Yeah, and they seem to be very dead to it as far as.
So I had a chance to watch the Republican convention portions of it. It's families getting up there saying, "Hey, look, our kid got murdered by illegal aliens coming across in a gang war kind of thing, and but we're gonna stand with America and make it great." That was the theme of this.
Sure.
Like these people, regular folks,
Yeah.
in support of having a moral country.
Yep.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't had any interest to tune in during this particular convention because I know exactly what's going to be coming. But it is kind of startling to hear that it is about issues, moral issues on the wrong side of things.
Right, yeah.
And not even about policy of what's going on in our country.
Yeah. It's nothing to do with it.
Right.
I don't think there's one speech so far that I have listened to long. I mean, I don't listen to them long enough. I mean, once they get into it, I'm like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
You know,
I tried to listen to Obama's speech, and it was the same thing.
I have a lot of friends who that kind of they're Christians, but they're old school Democrats, and so it's the idea of it's just old school Democrats, and their argument for abortion would be, I would never choose it for myself or my kid, but I wouldn't take that away from the option. And one of the things that I would even just say today is that they would say it's bad, but it shouldn't be whatever regulated by the government. And my thing is this is not the Democratic Party of your grandparents.
It's
right?
not.
This is not that anymore. And I disagree with that argument. But this is just, you have abortion clinics they were tweeting out. I remember one it was like a little local one that got all kinds of traction that said, the only thing that we're going to apologize for is that we can't provide more abortions.
Yeah.
We're not apologizing for the fact that we do them. And so that was just a siren call, man, of like, this isn't the arguments that your grandma, who was a Democrat, that was putting forth. This isn't that
help the
anymore.
little guy.
Right. This
Right.
isn't that anymore. This is a right, and I get to do it, and there's no emotional or feeling anything right about that. So that's where we're at today.
I was telling Amy, I said, I know this might be shocking to hear when we were having this conversation to her. I said, I just don't think now, my personal opinion, this is just me, this has nothing to do with anything else. I just don't see how you can be a Democrat and be a Christian at the same time. With the platform the way it is, the policies the way they're talking about it, you have to be seriously deaf to the conversation to not think to yourself, how can I be a part of this? Because there's nothing, I mean, look at the DNC conference. There's nothing about policy, helping the American worker, none of that stuff. Nothing like that's been talked about. It's all been about women's rights, the LGBTQ stuff, abortion, all this other stuff. They want to get rid of the Supreme Court. It's just like, are you kidding me? And that's all you're talking about. And so as a Democrat, I'm sitting there thinking, how can you stand behind this? Yeah. It has nothing to do with any policies that help America. It's creating more of that divide, really, between the people that believe in it and people that don't. And, that's just my personal opinion, but I cannot believe that a Christian that reads the Bible that I read would ever say, okay, you know what, I'm for this. Right. I'm totally for this. Or I can stand behind that candidate. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. That's just, that's just me. Yeah. You can write me hateful emails. That's fine. I'm just saying, I don't see how it's possible. And I'm not saying that the Republicans are like the star pupil or anything, but I'm just saying, I just don't see how you can stand behind a party that's what they're built on. It's like serving Baal, and all those things that we see in Scripture that we should not even be approaching.
Go Moloch, go Moloch.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
right.
I mean, you might as well be saying that, right?
Real.
You might as well be kneeling down at the Asherah pole. Yeah. You might as well be doing all the things that we talk about in the Bible we should not be doing, because that's what they're talking about on this whole convention time. And look at the result. Nobody can work. There's walls around the entire convention. You can't get in there unless you have an ID, which is interesting.
That's wild.
That you can come into the country without an ID, and vote with an ID without an ID, but you can't go in the convention. I think that's interesting.
Yep, that's pretty crazy.
I'm just putting that out there. All right, we're gonna take an ID break and be right back.
Ever wonder what happens when Pastor Gary, Pastor Alex, and Pastor Ted walk into a studio? Well, wonder no more. Join us as we grow, achieve, and pray, and maybe crack a few jokes along the way. We promise to bring you spiritual insights with a side of laughter, stories that will inspire you, and banter that will leave you in stitches. Get ready for the funniest, most uplifting podcast experience as we tackle life's big questions and the little ones too. So grab your headphones, settle in, and let's have some fun with the Gap crew on More Podcast.
Every time I hear that, it's so much the generation I grew up in. The Gap crew. Like the Valley Girls.
She does have them.
Do you know what? I mean, we've asked you that question before, I think.
Yeah.
The Valley Girls. Yeah. That was a whole generation. And it was funny to hear kids in the school here try to pick up that idea. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, we are here with the big question, and we have one more week before we actually give the prize out. And we found a prize.
Yeah, we had it donated by the guest speaker this weekend. So it's a Summit Ministries Yeti mug. So this has got some value to it. It's blue, really cool. It's
it's kind of like the gun metal.
Yeah. What's a Yeti worth, anyways?
That's $25
plus.
25.
I'd say plus.
Yeah. I mean,
those are nice.
And you won't find this in Marshall because it's got Summit on it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep. So that was donated this weekend by our guest speaker, and it will be going into the prize vault for this week. Next week. We're going to be able to give that away. So the question from last week on our trivia was, what is the descriptive point for non-Jewish people to be brought into the gospel? And it was the term grafted in. We've been grafted in. So God is the main trunk, and then we are the branches. And Gentiles, anybody who's not Jewish, is a Gentile, according to our Bible. They've been grafted in, so they've been melded into the mess.
Although I did argue with you on that, didn't I? About Romans 2:29, that we're uncircumcised Jews. Remember that? Yeah. So I remember I said I'm Jewish.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You identified it.
I was identified as Jewish.
Right. Okay.
I like to use that, especially when I went over to Israel. I'm like, I'm Jewish.
Yeah. So
Sorry.
what we were looking for is the grafted in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry about that. Yeah.
So if you answered the question and emailed that in, then it goes into the Wilson hat.
Yeah.
And so that gets put in there. And then next weekend we give away this Summit mug that we're all looking at. It's kind of a brushed stainless steel.
I think it's a nice looking mug.
Yeah, it looks great.
Barely touched.
Yeah.
It's got a few fingerprints on it, but it's not bad.
Okay. And I noticed some lips. You were trying that out there.
You see my chapstick on there somewhere?
Yeah, lick the top. All right, so here we go with the trivia question for this weekend coming up, and it's going to be connected to the message. So why is it important to simply, or make it simple, when you write down a vision or plan? Why is that important? Okay? According to Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 2 and 3.
Which is going to be talked about this next Sunday.
Which is going to be our main thought in Scripture for this weekend.
This is going to be good.
It's going to be super good. I had a chance on Monday morning to drive downstate and back, so I listened to 8 hours of sermons on that one chapter.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's a good chapter.
Loaded up.
He's ready.
Ready to go.
I just want to say to our listeners, I don't think you realize, like, when I make comments or joke around, the looks I get from Pastor Gary are hilarious. You don't get to see them. I get the pastor look sometimes, and then every now and then I'll get the dad look. Like, why did you just say that?
It's been a while, I think, since you got any of those.
Yeah. Or when I say something, he's like, "What was that about?" I get that look. Like, I can't.
I'm sorry if I do that to you.
No. I think it's great. I appreciate it actually because it helps me because I don't have my wife here to tell me to shut up. So I think it's helpful when you do that. Yeah, I like that. So I appreciate that.
All right.
Yeah. Sometimes you open your mouth and you're like, "Where am I heading with this?"
I do.
I need
all the
that
time.
person to filter.
Well, I want to talk about that just for a second here. So on that particular morning that I went downstate, I tuned into a talk, like a radio show, but with two guys' names at the top of the thing. And I'm telling you, it was like junior high X-rated content for.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what was just said?
Sure,
What are we guys describing? What are you guys all laughing about? I was like, oh my gosh, I was a little.
You can get away
appalled.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we have been called that name, but in a Christian version of it.
Okay.
Like we're kind of a Christian version of it because of the sarcasm and the fun stuff that we do. Which
I would say that I think it is fun to have serious conversations around Israel or social issues, but have a laugh too.
Sure.
And I don't know that there's a lot of Christian kind of media stuff that does that well.
I haven't
good
found.
job,
And
guys.
it's fun to be able to laugh at ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? Yes.
Point to ourselves and laugh about that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm always been self-deprecating.
Usually though, the Christian podcast is super serious all the time, right? And so I just appreciate.
Well, because you don't want to offend Jesus with what you say, right? And then apparently we do on a regular basis.
Real, have you gotten that for real?
Well, no. Somebody listened to our podcast and they're like, "You guys are kind of like this other couple guys,"
and I can see
and it's kind of you guys are you have a lot of fun with it, and they think it's funny that we mix the sarcasm and the stuff that's like a funny story with real stuff.
Okay.
Back and forth.
Yeah, the stuff that was being talked about, I just was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this.
Yeah, they can get away with it on podcasts now.
Well, this is on the radio.
Oh, it's on the radio?
It was on the radio.
Oh, well, they have a podcast too.
Okay.
And it gets worse. Yeah, it gets worse.
Yeah.
But they can get away with it.
Yeah.
But it was definitely junior high boy,
Sure.
stupid humor,
Right.
sexual stuff.
You want to know what's weird? Okay, this
What?
is just weird because I grew up in the Howard Stern era.
All right.
And it was bad, really bad stuff,
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
You know, whenever you talk about Howard Stern, you just immediately think of really bad stuff. He's totally gone the other way. Now he does his show where he highlights bands from the 80s.
Yeah.
And he gets all these bands in there and he does interviews with them. And that's primarily his entire show now. He doesn't do anything else. I'm like,
At some
what
point, I would
happened?
think you'd get tired of just that blue humor all the time.
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yeah, it just keeps getting more.
for like 40 years, you're just
Yeah.
gonna make the same joke over and over and over.
right. It
Like,
just gets darker and darker.
It does, yeah. And then I was like, "What the heck happened
Yeah.
here?" Because we got XM in our car, you know, because we have we had a special offer, and so listen to XM, and there's a Howard Stern show, and I'm going through it, and I just happened to stop on to see what he was doing, and I'm like, "This sounds like a PBS special." Like he's interviewing these bands.
And what's crazy is like wasn't he just like on like ABC's like America's Got Talent or something? Like every home in America is watching this show, and this guy 20 years ago, you would, if you're a parent,
Oh
you're
my
like,
gosh.
absolutely not.
I remember-
which is super weird.
I think my dad even preached a sermon about
sure,
I would imagine.
like
Yeah,
how not to
yeah.
listen to certain people like Howard Stern.
yeah, that's an easy one. To,
And then here we are now,
Right.
and I'm like, this is so weird.
yeah, man.
To hear this guy talk about. Well, we love to listen to Dr. Laura. You guys listen to Dr. Laura Fleshinger?
Back in the day.
She's on the radio still. She's like
Right.
90 years old.
Oh, I think
Yeah.
I read a book by her.
She is so good. And it's so funny because she is at that point in her life where she does not care. No filters.
Yeah, just say whatever.
Right. She's going to say it. And, you know, you got people like our age calling in, and then she just gets in their business. And then you got people that are like younger, like part of the Gen Z era, calling in about raising their children and stuff. And she
Yikes.
just gets in their
Yeah.
business. I'm like, this is so awesome. Everything I want to say, she says it. And I don't have to say any of it and be in trouble. Okay, well, if you want to answer that question, that happened a long time ago in this conversation. Send that to harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, harborlightbibletrivia@gmail.com, all lowercase.
So let's reflect on it one more time.
Yeah, do it one
Why
more
is
time.
it simple? Why is it important to simply write down the plan or the vision? Why is it important to keep it written down and simple?
I think just by finding the book itself, it's going to be fun for people.
Habakkuk chapter
Habakkuk,
2
yeah.
verses 2. You get prized just for
Yeah.
making locations.
It's like what, 4 chapters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here, find this somewhere in the
I think
Bible.
it's 3 chapters.
That's,
Is it 3
that's
chapters?
when,
Yeah.
like in youth group where I would get like the sweats where it's like, all right, guys,
Yeah.
let's open our Bible to. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't find it. Everyone's going to see that.
I think
Can't find it.
it's well. One Sunday when you had me preach, I did a sermon of Amos, and it was funny to listen to people like, where's Amos at? Like, they're trying to flip through it.
the
Yeah.
extra 30 seconds to find it.
Yeah, I'm listening to people in the front row like, I have never found that book before.
That's in there?
That's Amos. What's that? All right, we'll be right back. We're coming right back with Bible Talk, and boy, we got a good.
Yeah, we got a
it's gonna be a banger.
great one for
it's gonna
today.
be good.
Oh, welcome to more podcasts featuring the Gap crew. Join us as we bridge the gap, grow, achieve, and pray together. Hosted by the dynamic trio, Pastor Gary, Pastor Alex, and Pastor Ted, we dive deep into conversations that inspire, challenge, and equip you to live a life of purpose and faith. From insightful discussions to uplifting stories, we're here to help you grow spiritually, achieve your God-given potential, and deepen your prayer life. Tune in, get connected, and journey together towards a more fulfilling life in Christ.
I was just going to tell you that I had some people that I know that went to go see that Deadpool movie.
Yep.
And they confessed to me and they said, we shouldn't have gone. We should have listened to what you said. It was bad. And I'm like, you got to listen to me sometimes.
I do know what you're doing.
Yeah, it was bad. But they said everything that they've heard about it, it was like worse. They're like, we actually had to pray after we got out of there. Like it was just bad. It was just like, so not good.
I'll tell you this story. I went one time to Sheboygan. There was a famous movie coming out, so I took a bunch of kids from the youth group over there, and so we're sitting there, and this place was packed. I can't remember the exact movie, but it was packed out, and I think we made it past the credits at the beginning, and then we all stood up out of our row and walked out. And we walked out, and I just made eye contact with probably 25 people from Harbor Light that didn't get up and leave, and I was like, oh my gosh, but I felt so terrible taking these, junior high, early high school kids to some movie that was
not good,
way inappropriate.
Yeah. I know. I was sitting there with a friend of ours. Their little kid came over, and I'm like, hey, let's watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new one. And I'm like, this is going to be good. And it's got, what's her name in there? Megan Fox. It's in there. But it's not that new. It's like older, but it's new to me. I've never seen it. I'm thinking my kids grew up on that. Yeah. We had a good time. We got through like maybe 10 minutes of it. I'm like, this is all about Megan Fox. This has nothing to do with these Ninja Turtles. And I'm like, let's watch something else. And I was like, oh my gosh. I'm like, good grief. Even those standards, the ones that my kids grew up with that I having problems with, you got to be careful.
Yep.
Well, we're in Bible Talk, and we had a wonderful guest last week. His name was Jeff Myers. He was sharing with us a lot about what was going on with Israel. He actually wrote a book, and it's pretty interesting because he shares about how he wrote this book, and then it was sent to Congress.
Yes.
To all 535 members got this book about Israel. And basically the whole idea is to talk about...
On the morning of when Benjamin Netanyahu was there to speak.
Yeah, that was even better, right?
Right.
And so this book comes in, and you had a chance to look it over and just kind of give them an idea of what's really happening there. Because I think a lot of people, when they think about Israel and Palestine, they're kind of caught in the middle. Like, what do we do here? We're just seeing a war happen. They're not really understanding history.
Right.
And so between PragerU video we watched last Sunday and Jeff Myers' talk on it, it was really good.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, I mean, after he was talking, the whole time, it was so quiet in there. Normally our crowd is pretty hyper and, amen, this and everything else.
Yep.
It was super quiet. I mean, we were just like totally like sucked into this whole thing. And you walk away going, wow, I cannot believe that this is happening and people are thinking the way they do. And his big issue was that the generation that's in school now, Generation Z.
Is how they've gotten indoctrinated. I thought that was really powerful. And then if I can jump in that, just his definition and explanation of what Marxism is, postmodernism, and how that has led to the mindset amongst this, generation, and how they can be affirming or supporting rape, mutilation, and kidnapping of innocent civilians. That was pretty startling. And this idea that Marxism is a form of government where we want to break down any norm, social construct, and then break that down and then reformulate it in whatever would lead towards communism. And so it was really enlightening to be able to see that and have him explain it to us, because I think we hear the comment on Marxism a lot, but I'm no social science when it comes to political social science kind of stuff. So it helped me understand how we've gotten to where we are.
He's really good at it. What's interesting is that for a while, when we first started in ministry, we were at a college campus, and a lot of those things that they brought up about like the Marxist thing is that, they like to tie it into, well, this is a lot like the Bible, right? Because, the Bible does in a sense have sort of like this a socialism-esque mindset, especially when you get the book of Acts.
Right.
So they try to, kind of mix that together to make it sound like it's very biblical in that sense. But the way he described it, like you said, made it very clear. And then the postmodern mindset that, basically pitting everybody against everybody, whoever's in power.
Right.
I mean, we're seeing that happen now in our culture. And it's really interesting how the mindset of the younger generation sees people in power as a problem. And but at the same time, I thought was interesting is that eventually they will be in power if they take roles and positions in society. So the thing that they're fighting against, they will become, at some point.
And you see some of that even in the comments of some of our political candidates. You see some of that mindset even coming out with, price controlling on those kind of things. It's because these people have much. They're the oppressor, and then these are the oppressed. And I think a lot of people are being sucked into the whole Palestinian-Israeli situation because one's in power and one feels like the victim, and so you always have to go for the victim. And that's where that ideology has found its way into permeated almost every aspect of our lives. It's like who's in control and then who's being stolen from.
And I think the idea of Marxism, like just having that broader perspective that it isn't just about Palestine and Israel, right? That it is this we want to break down the cultural norms and values of a society that have been held for a really long time. So any institution that grandma and grandpa believed in that was positive in their eyes is actually oppressive to someone who doesn't have. And that's certainly problematic.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Well, and I think, Ted, you brought up in staff meeting about that one image in the PragerU video where it talked about the difference between how this could be resolved, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned
if one side, if Israel was to lay down their arms and claim peace, they would be wiped out from the world.
Yeah.
If right.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And
if the Palestinians
laid down arms, there'd be peace today.
Yeah, there'd be peace today. Yeah. And I thought that to me was encapsulate the whole thing, right?
It's simple to go, hey, look, the problem does lie on one side. I mean, I just remember after October 7th, people I went to high school with, I graduated, I saw the Twin Towers come down in my U.S. history class at 9 o'clock in the morning in Boyne City as a 10th grader, 9th grader, something like that. And people I went to high school with, I saw them posting. Now it's Osama bin Laden's reason for 9/11. You know what I mean? Like people who they were witnesses to the greatest attack on the United States soil to even democracy, right? Like these people know what this was, and then all of a sudden you're sympathizing with the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like it is just that simple. And boy, oh boy, that's a powerful message that, I think social Marxism puts out. So the letter to American Church, right, to this sort of stuff, it is important for our young people to have those resources in front of them right now because there is a cultural war happening, and it's for your mind. It just is. We're seeing it played out in front of us in real time right now.
But didn't Pastor Matt mentioned something in there? He's our youth pastor here, and he's talking about the disconnect, and he's talking about how is that possible? How can you have such a disconnect when things are proven in front of you right now, showing you like what happened on October 7th, what's going on, and it's like there's like this blinder over the generation, like they don't want to see. What really happens. They just want to believe in the ideology they have.
Yeah, and take a look at that quote that was given by one of the leaders of Hamas that basically, I'm paraphrasing, I don't care if every single person in Gaza gets killed as long as Israel is wiped out.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Those are his people.
It's
his own people.
A culture of death, right? It is not of life. Yeah.
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 Well, and the thing is, we mentioned this before, I think in another podcast, about how the fact that people think this is a people group that is being downtrodden, but the government they voted in was a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
And they
gave them power.
And they knew it.
And they knew it when they voted them in,
Right. So let's take a real brief little conversation about this land called Palestine.
Yeah.
And how did it get that name? I think that's very important because here we are 2,000 years later, and we're still kind of confused on what's happened. So in 70 AD, Rome came in and overtook Jerusalem, destroyed the temple, and they were so indignant against the Jewish people, so upset with them that they took Israel's number one enemy, their arch enemy, for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe even 1,000 years, the Philistines.
Yeah.
And they named the land Palestine, which is connected to the Philistines.
Right.
All right. And renamed the land after their enemy just so they could have a dig on Israel for the rest of history. So there has never been really a group called the Palestinians.
Right.
Okay. And Israel, that portion of land has never been called by a group of people called the Palestinians.
Right.
Nor any other Arab group. And there's never been any other government there except for the three times of Jewish nation. We're in the third right now of Israel. That's always been Israel.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And but because it's called Palestine, and then the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, got started back in I think in the 50s or something like that. Then now all of a sudden we think it was their land that was stolen by Israel.
Right.
And it was not. That's just not the history behind it. So
Yeah.
and then in 1947, when the UN makes Resolution 181, and they say we're going to create 2 nation states. One's going to be for the Arab people that we're going to call the Palestinians, and the other would be for Israel. And the Palestinians reject it. They never even accept it. Israel's like, hey, we'll take our piece and be happy. And then the very next year, when it actually takes place on May 15th, then the 6 nations around decide to go against war against Israel, after only being 1 day old, and they defended themselves. All of that history is lost, and you're younger than we are sitting here, and I didn't know this stuff very well.
I didn't either,
That's the kind of stuff where you're not taught in school,
No.
and then here we are believing that the Palestinians have had their land taken from them.
Right, yeah.
That's just not the truth.
Well, and the thing is, they never had an actual government in place when that happened in 47.
And you know what else is crazy? This is something that's never broadcast, never talked about. None of the other Arab, so they're all brothers. None of the other Arab nations will take the Palestinians in.
Right, yeah.
They don't want them.
Right. Even Jordan, which is right there.
Right.
Yeah, they're actually a part of Jordan.
Right.
Yeah, they don't want anything to do with them. And the interesting thing is that look at the history after everything fell, and you have those times of the Ottoman Empire and all that stuff walking through there, and all the knights coming from England. They were just squatters. They never really had any organized government there. They just basically lived in the remains of the previous Jewish nation and never claimed anything. And so that's the thing that really just irks me when they talk about, like, they had this nation at some point and then it was robbed from them. They never had a nation. They never had a governing body. They never had any of that stuff in place. It was just a bunch of squatters taking over old Jewish areas that were there, and that's why they're there today. That's why you have the place like the Temple Mount that is actually Arab controlled by the Jordanian government that's there because these people just kind of squatted there and took it. They never really did anything with it.
Yeah, and then the other thing that you don't realize, or it's never advertised or brought out, is that in Israel proper, over 1 million Arabs live in Israel and participate in life and are doing life great and actually are involved in the government and in the military.
Right.
Because Israel is a democratic state, just like we are here in the United States here. And, so we have people of different nationalities and backgrounds and even religious views that are involved in it. If you want to live in peace, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
If you're going to cause problems, then we're going to have problems.
And they've been doing it well.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you've been there. I've been there. It's amazing to see how they make it work. But there is definitely a distinct line between once you go into Bethlehem, which is on the Palestinian side. It is a totally different area. I mean, it's like they have lost control.
You have to switch buses. You drive up to the wall or the fence, and you get out and get on a different bus, and then they take you in because they can't let the bus travel over the line because it could be equipped with bombs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's serious stuff.
Wow, yeah.
And it's like a totally different world. They have, like you mentioned, and I think you mentioned on Sunday, it's been given billions of dollars.
Yep.
And it has never gone to the people. It's gone always to the people in control, which is Hamas.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been one of those things like, they could have easily started. I mean, the thing that's amazing is Israel gave them prime real estate next to the Mediterranean Sea.
Yep.
They could have easily started to do exporting, could have done a lot of things that would have bolstered their economy, and they have done nothing.
They built their military.
They buy bombs, they do all that stuff. People are starving.
Yep.
And they have, if you go to the seaports, the seaports that are ran by them, you can't pull a ship in there. That's the problem. They're saying that there's nothing there to make it possible for people to actually get imports in to boost the economy. So what they do is they get it from Israel side. Israel will bring it over. And Israel has been doing something amazing. I mean, they're the ones bringing the hospitals, the doctors, all that stuff to them. And when they could have easily done it themselves because they have prime real estate there.
Right. It's like a more chaotic form of communism or socialism in the sense that it is about the military and those who are in charge, but they also provide zero government thing for their people.
Right.
At least there are bread lines and, communist Russia or whatever, right? Like they ain't having that.
Well, it's interesting, we were talking with, because of my time with the Salvation Army, the GMOs that are over there, or was it GMOs or GLOs or whatever they're called, the people that go over and help, that kind of stuff, and the food distribution groups that go there, Israel has always a standing order to have them by the gates to hand, so people come to the gates, the walls that separate them between Palestine and them, and they're always giving them food every day, medical care every day. They can come and do that, and the government does nothing. I think if I remember right, there was like one hospital in Palestine, and that got blown up like just recently, like it doesn't even exist anymore. So like people have no medical care at all, and the government has all this money to do that, and they're not doing anything for their infrastructure.
Sure.
And yet Israel, is a problem, right?
Any
that's
sense
what
of
is being talked about.
infrastructure that there is, they're putting military bases over it.
Yes.
So you have schools that's going to be right next door to an armory or something.
Or and
So
they're putting them right into the schools.
Right. So Israel looks like the bad guy when they're being strategic in warfare and going, yeah, you're blowing up schools. Well, guess where your government put it? That's a choice on you to protect your people.
But then
you didn't do it.
when Hamas then shoots a rocket over and kills 12 kids playing soccer in a soccer field.
Yeah.
Yep. Nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the thing that happened. What was it 100 days ago when they went over and did their first attack? The UN was just saying all kinds of mean things about Israel, but they had to go into places like the abandoned hospitals and the schools and the communities where the people were to find these guys because they're all embedded in these communities.
Right.
And they're like, look, they're going after the civilians. And I just love the fact that somehow one of the cams from one of the guys, they are so aware of what's happening around them. The guys from Israel, they know, and they will, like if there's a home full of children and a mom and kids and stuff like that, they're very careful on how they go in and to deal with these guys. They don't want to kill anybody that does not need to be killed, and just to be that aware in a war situation, because I mean, when we talk about people that have come back from war, you don't know who's going to die, right? It's just people are being killed, by accident all the time.
And they have suicide bombers.
Bombers, and these guys are being careful.
They would glorify a room full of women who have bombs on them, and you step in and try to be really careful, and they blow you up. They'd be happy about that.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see the difference between the two sides, and I can't even imagine the mental stress on these guys as they're trying to be so careful to not hurt people that they shouldn't be hurting. And on the other side, not so at all. I mean, they're like using women and children as shields against Israel.
Yeah, I think my big takeaway from Sunday was just the sense of like, what is my responsibility? And I think about my dining room table and my car rides with my kids of just the sense of if I am punting, if I am saying, I don't know, I got it, and I am, this is deep water for me. I've, like one of our other staff members, we talked about this on Tuesday at our staff meeting of like, I've always known we're supposed to support Israel because you see them all out throughout the Bible, but outside of that, there's not a lot of the ins and outs. So my takeaway is I got to be on it, and I got to know why I believe what I believe, and I got to be able to communicate that in a way that's going to be helpful for my kids, because they will not hear it from the world. They're not going to hear, you need to be supporting Israel. They're not going to hear that. And I think for to have wisdom and discernment of the culture in which we live today, to be able to call a spade. When you see indoctrination happen, when you see that cultural Marxism not even crop up, it's just in front of you, right? So it's not even really hidden, but being able to call it what it is and go, guys, listen, I can love those people, because that's what's always going to come off as, well, you're just hateful, spiteful Christian. No, I can love someone and I can adamantly disagree with them. I am able to do both of those things. And I think that's super important for parents raising kids in today's world of going, guys, there is right and wrong. There is truth and there is wrong. And so being able to point those things out in a really helpful way and in a clear way, and being able to say, this does not mean I hate those people, I wish ill on those people, but it does mean that people can be wrong.
Yeah.
There is a wrong way to do things. There's a right way to do things.
Well, and it's interesting because we talk about this election year. One of the things that was shocking to me was when, what's his name again? Benjamin Netanyahu came and visited to share his side of what's happening with Israel. Yeah. Not one from the administration and current administration was there.
Yeah, that's wild.
And he basically did his own press conference by himself, with nobody from the administration ever being in that room with him. And that's just, to me, is a shocking revelation as to what you're getting yourself into. If you vote for this current administration, they are not behind Israel. And they showed that by not showing up and not being a part of it. And I was totally embarrassed by the whole thing. And then they let the protesters protest around that whole thing that was playing out, and you've got the Columbus memorial
Yeah, it's
that had stuff about
unbelievable.
Hamas and all that
They're
stuff on
here
there,
and-
and it was just like that was during that week, and they just allowed that to happen, but they would not support somebody from Israel. Well,
And
the Prime
can
Minister
you
from Israel.
imagine, upon 9/11, right? We're not that far removed from
really.
that.
Right.
To go now, we'll be sitting around talking about pro-terrorist Islamic organizations graffitiing our national monument. That's unthinkable for someone after 9/11. But here we are.
I just heard yesterday that when Kamala would not meet with Benjamin, but then went and secretly met with the mayor of Dearborn,
Right.
who is
Right.
like the biggest supporter of
Sure.
terrorism in our country,
Yeah.
and met secretly with him,
Yep.
but won't even support the guy. So
Sure.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's just so blatant to see the lies that are
Yeah.
given to us by.
Yeah, and it's something to think about again, to be prayerfully thinking about it, because it's very obvious. Like, I think it was interesting. Jeff brought up the fact about understanding the reality of Christianity. He talks about how, when we think about it, God gives us the total awareness and reality of what's really happening when we start allowing Him to speak to us, allowing to see the Word the way it should be. That it's almost virtually impossible for you to begin to start buying into the lies, because it's you just can't deny the fact that they're there. It's everywhere. And so if you're one of those people right now that's kind of like clouded by the whatever's going on around you, get into the Word. You'll see very quickly what the Bible speaks about with Israel and what we should be looking at. And it's through the reality of Scripture and through Jesus and the Holy Spirit that we begin to realize how important this subject is. It's not just two nations.
Yep.
This is a spiritual situation that goes well far beyond any election time.
And I think too, you can look at it through Scripture, the lens of Scripture, of the sense of what's one of the roles of a prophet. The role of a prophet is to be able to say to the people what they can't see themselves. Right? It's right in front of you, and this person can see it. So, man, use your prophetic voice, church, in this time.
Yeah, one of the other scriptures I'm possibly going to touch on this weekend is to be like the tribe or the men of Issachar. Right, they knew the times and what to do about it. Right, and so I'm going to touch on that passage of scripture, that we need to be aware of what's going on around us and what to do about it. What is the Lord's will for us to do? So
that's good. Well, any last words, PG, before we?
No, I just really appreciate Jim and Marlis Monti, who helped us get connected with Dr. Jeff Myers and help work out the details to be able to have them come.
Yeah.
And it's great to have people at Harbor Light that are helping our church continue to stay connected to the greater message of what's happening in our world and our country, and having access to some of these super top national speakers.
Yeah.
And encourage people to come out this weekend to be a part of the big family reunion here at Harbor Light, the big one service, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be a good time. I'm asking for your prayers that He would help me be able to communicate clearly where we are and where I believe God is taking us, and some of the things that we need to be preparing ourselves for as we live in the beginning of the end.
Yeah. And on a side note, we got food trucks. It's gonna be good.
Yes, that'll be good. And some
food
cornhole.
truck. Cornhole.
All the cornholers, come on out.
What's the game you're doing?
I'm doing it's called a birdie ball,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a chipping contest with a golf club, and you're going to be able to try to shoot this specially developed little ball. It's actually like a napkin ring holder, and try to hit it in some kids' pool. So I got my two grandsons talking in and helping me run that thing. It'll be a good time.
That'll be good. And we're going to be having Tannanite horseshoes.
Yeah, there you go.
Guys, just get ready for, we're living in the end times, and also food trucks.
Yeah.
That's what we do here. Yeah,
That's right.
Wouldn't be a conversation.
And Pastor
Harbor
Alex
Light,
is going to have a tent with an air conditioner in it, so that you can just go in there and have your food truck meal in air conditioning tent.
A cooling center for all of you that are overheated.
That's right.
Yeah,
I'm with you, buddy.
Do you have? We have a portable air conditioner.
I need it out there.
Yeah.
It would be really fun. If I have extra time, I will set you up a pop-up tent,
Yeah.
wall it off,
get,
and
like-
I'll get that portable air conditioner
Right?
in there, and it'll say Alex's Hangout.
Yeah,
out
right.
there.
Have a little TV. We'll
Yeah.
get some NFL football going on there too.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be there with you, buddy.
Sitting there and enjoy that. This is the thing I was going to ask you. Okay, so I don't know. I mean, you sort of have a dress code for Sundays, but if we have a game day, is it against the rules to wear your jersey on a Sunday?
No, you can do that. I would not. There's not a dress code about that. No.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm
can.
trying. But the reason I was pausing, I was thinking, if you're speaking,
yeah,
if you're
but
the speaker,
it's not. I won't though.
Then maybe you have to tie it in somehow really strongly to get it to go. But I would be okay with that. I wore a Detroit Tigers uniform thing one time. So
yeah.
Yep.
What if you're playing in the praise team, Pastor Ted? Is that?
I think that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, we remember when we put the Lions gray and blue up last year.
Yeah, that was right.
That
we
was
did.
our,
Yeah, we did.
Our scrim screens.
Okay. I feel good about it then. I would just want to make sure I had permission before.
I mean, are we distracting people from Jesus?
No,
Are we
not at all.
Pushing them into the presence.
That's a good question. That's a good question to ask yourself. So does
Push
this,
them in the
does this
presence.
draw too much attention away from what we're doing? I don't think that draws too much attention away. If you started with the pom poms,
yeah, that would be different.
That would probably start pushing it along.
Come on, everybody!
Yeah. But isn't that a great? I think that's a really good question to ask yourself.
Yep.
On whatever you wear or whatever you do in church, am I drawing attention to myself or am I continuing to point direction towards Jesus?
Push people to the presence of Jesus.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's why I don't wear the hat with the hair because I think that would cause some.
That's okay at practice, but
not in the service. Did you see that yet?
No.
I bought a hat that has long hair stuck in it, and I wore it to practice one time. And the funny part was, some of the people that knew me when I was younger, they're like, "Now that's the Alex we remember." I'm like, "Really?" It just got awkward all of a sudden. I was like, "Yeah, well, you know what? This is what you got now, okay?" It has the guy with no hair,
new bass player Alex DeNorton.
No, Alexander DeNorton. Well, that's it for us. We'll see you guys next week. Again, thanks for listening, and let somebody know that you listen to the podcast, and don't be ashamed. I mean, this is a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun.
It's a good time.
Tell people it's okay to be have fun and talk about Jesus at the same time. Yeah, we'll be right back next week. Talk to you later.
We want you to know, find, discover, change with us. More podcast ending transmission. Now.